We are ready. Good morning, everybody. 21st day of the month of Adar, second Adar Sheni, corresponding to March 28th, 2019. The Lighthouse live video. And you in chat, Deborah Feige. Additionally, today, the iTorah.com audio file is dedicated Le'ilui Nishmat, someone that I knew going back many, many years, Mr. Joe Cohen, Yosef ben Zakieh, alav shalom, that this week returned his holy soul to the Almighty, father of Dr. Jack Cohen and Mr. A.B. Cohen, which we go back many, many years to this beautiful family. I remember Mr. Cohen in his many visits to Miami Beach, since some of his family members lived here, and always a person with Na'im Alichot, a pleasant attitude, a beautiful personality, coming to shul, praying, sitting down, listening, and really, you know, you see the family, you see the descendants, and you see how Borei Olam bless the person in the most beautiful way. So, Be'ezat Hashem, his neshama should have an aliyah in Gan Eden. Amen. Additionally, the iTorah.com, the refuah shelema of David Menachem ben Deborah Leah, and also for shidduch of Nehama Dina bat Hanabatia. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, shehakol nehiya v'tbaruch. Thank you for the tea. Very meaningful English date for me, for my English birthday, March 28th. I was born on March 28th. I cannot tell you the year, but I'll tell you that it wasn't that long ago. So, today is only the English. Sunday, God willing, will be the Hebrew one. But Be'ezat Hashem, I wish everybody to have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you for everybody's best wishes for the birthday of the Rabbi. Okay, today I'd like to cover several topics. I started to talk inside about the reading, the extra reading rather, that we are going to be having this Shabbat, known as the reading of Perashat Para. And Para refers to the Perashah of Para Aduma. Para Aduma, it's a mitzvah that is considered a hok. A hok literally means a commandment that the Torah does not clearly state the reason of why we need to do this commandment. That's the meaning of a word, hok. Although our Hachamim attempted to give us the reasons of many of the mitzvot that we have in the Torah, including kashrut, which is a hok also. Meat by itself permissible, dairy by itself permissible. You mix them, it causes a spiritual explosion in the body. Sha'atnes, wool and linen. Wool by itself, perfect. Linen by itself, perfect. You mix them, avon. Hachamim gave us reasons for this mitzvot up to the mitzvah of Para Aduma. What is the mitzvah of the Para Aduma? In English, the mitzvah of the red heifer, the red cow. In the time of the Bet HaMikdash, this ceremony took place. And the whole purpose of this ceremony was to purify someone that was physically impure. The only impurity that the Para Aduma purified the person was the impurity of something called in Jewish law, Tum'at Met. Tum'at Met means the impurity that a human body experiences by going to the cemetery, carry a coffin, washing a dead body through the procedure of tahara, being into a funeral home, and being in the same close environment of someone that is no longer among the living. That's the meaning of Tum'at Met. Additionally, let's say that I shook your hands and you work in the Hevra Kadisha yesterday. So guess what? that impurity gets transferred to the person. And this impurity, there is no water in the world that can purify this impurity, with the exception of para aduma. On the other hand, the ladies, right, when they have the monthly cycle, how do they purify themselves? By going to the mikveh. So we understand that certain type of impurities can be purified. Let's say you went to the bathroom, you came out of the bathroom, you wash your hands. Your hands are tahor, your hands are clean. But tum'at met is only through this ceremony of the para aduma. A couple of details. A long time. A long time. Because the ashes and the mixture lasted for a very long time. But I'm going to talk about it now. From the creation of the world till today, there were only 9 times that the para aduma was done. Number 10 is coming. It's around. But we're not going to talk about it for Ain Hara purposes. The last time that we had para aduma, remember what happened? Everybody went to see it. It was in the town near Lakewood, and people came. I think close to 100,000 Jewish people went to this farm near Lakewood to see the para aduma. Somebody from Brooklyn, as I told you the other day, offered $1 million to buy the para aduma. The person says, I don't want to make money out of something that's going to benefit the Jewish people. I'm donating the cow to Israel. And unfortunately, this cow became disqualified because of physical reasons. Some of the physical reasons that can render a red heifer not suitable for this holy service, it's number 1, not being 100% red hair. If it has some hairs which are not red, it all will depend on the root color. If the root is red, it's beautiful, but if the root is black, it's definitely a problem. If this animal was utilized for any kind of service, if you ride on the animal, if you lean on the animal, if you put a yoke on the animal to work the field, all this makes the animal disqualified. And something happened to this animal that was disqualified, but I was told by reliable sources that there is a new para aduma, but the location will not be shared with anyone, with the exception of those who need to supervise and validate the kashrut of the red heifer. You know what the Gemara writes? Ena beracha mesuya ela bedavar samui min ha'ain. Beracha is found on things that are hidden from the eye. The more things are being seen, like somebody dropped can I have the tickets, the Powerball tickets, please? Yeah, somebody left the Powerball tickets. Okay, look, it's yours, you can have it. If you were not in Wisconsin yesterday or this week, you traveled to Wisconsin, right? Maybe it's you. It's not you? Okay. He says that it's not him. But I'll tell you the problem with this ticket. Somebody purchased 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 tickets. Okay? No. You need to buy, if you're going to buy. I did not buy, Baruch Hashem. Only one. Only one. The moment that you play 10, so you are dividing your emunah into 10 portions. That's what a great rabbi said many years, that we asked him, Hakam, do we buy? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Do we buy, can we do an office pool to buy a few tickets? He says, the moment you buy more than one ticket, you are dissecting your emunah. So buy one ticket and take a picture and put it in a safe place. But the fact that they are here, so it means that there is nothing in these tickets, so please, you can get rid of them. Let's go back. This mitzvah, it's called Hukah. Zot Hukat HaTorah. This is the decree of the Torah. Now, what makes the mitzvah of the para aduma challenging and difficult to understand? The short answer is the halachic guidelines of the Para Aduma. I just spent close to 10 minutes explaining how this ceremony of the Para Aduma is what purifies someone that is physically impure. But guess what? The Kohen that was involved in preparing the Para Aduma, he became impure. So how could it be? Usually, mitzvot of the Torah do not have side effects. Medicine, perhaps, may have a side effect, God forbid. Certain foods can cause a certain allergy in the life of a person. But since when a mitzvah can make someone tameh? Usually mitzvot make the person holy, make the person pure. This mitzvah of Para Aduma was so challenging that even Shlomo HaMelech alav shalom, that was able to find many reasons for all of the mitzvot of the Torah, when he came to the mitzvah Para Aduma says, Vehi rechoka mimeni. I don't understand. There was one person who knew the reason of the Para Aduma, Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom. Only Moshe Rabbeinu. Be'ezet Hashem, Mashiach is on the way. We agree on that? And we are in the perfect time of the year between Purim and Pesach, which are moments of redemption and salvation for Am Israel. And guess what? Till today, as I said before, 9 times in Jewish history, this mitzvah was actually performed. But there is one more time that we need to have it, when Mashiach comes. Now, why do we read this parasha in this particular time of the year? Usually Parashat Hukat is after Shavuot, during the summer. But why do we read it now? To remind ourselves, the Halacha says, to be pure in order to celebrate Pesach in Yerushalayim. There is a mitzvah ta'aseh from the Oraita, the mitzvah known as Shalosh Regalim. Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, positive commandment of the Torah, going to Yerushalayim. According to what I learned the other day, from Rosh Chodesh Nisan, people already started to get ready to leave their home to travel for Pesach. I ask you a question. If you travel, for example, to a Pesach program, okay? How early do you get to the hotel? Maybe a day or two before Pesach. When it came to Yerushalayim, they started to get ready to leave their homes Rosh Chodesh Nisan. This was the excitement of traveling to Pesach to Yerushalayim. But not only that, what was the whole idea of spending Pesach in Yerushalayim? Is celebrating Pesach in the Bet HaMikdash, eating from the Pesach sacrifice. Guess what? If someone was physically impure because of the impurity known as Tum'at Met, the person was not allowed to step into the Bet HaMikdash. The person was not allowed to eat into the Korban Pesach. You understand? So we read Parashat Hukat to send a message to the Jewish people. In a week from today, meaning to say from this Shabbat, we're going to have Shabbat Rosh Chodesh Nisan. That is a mega Shabbat also, because that Shabbat we take out 3 Sefer Torahs. And when you take out 3 Sefer Torahs, there is an extra opening in the heavens. And we'll talk about it, Be'ezat Hashem, closer to next Shabbat. But you already know, this is Shabbat Mevarchim. This Shabbat we're going to announce the upcoming month of Nisan. We're going to read Parashat Para. And this serves a message. Pesach is coming. Be ready. Don't wait till the last minute. Why not? Because the ceremonial procedure of purifying someone of this level of impurity, it was a 7-day procedure. 7 days. So you need to plan accordingly. Now, our rabbis, actually I'm going to save this for tomorrow because I like to cover a very interesting Gemara related to the para and related to the topic of korbanot. We know that, I think I mentioned this a few days ago, that from our Torah, from all of the mitzvot, in reality, the positive commandments are very limited of how many can we do every day of our life, or even once a year. If I'm correct, if I remember correctly, I think they are less than 80 commandments that we can do from the positive commandments. If 80 I can do, it means that I have the balance of maybe 160 at least that I cannot do. Some of the 160, many of them are related to the concept of the Bet HaMikdash, are related to the concept of korbanot, all the offerings, animal offering, bird offering, wine offering, flour offering, etc. Then you have all the laws of Kohanim in the Bet HaMikdash. You have all the laws of the Leviim in the Bet HaMikdash. So if you start adding up all these concepts, which each and every one of them has many mitzvot underneath them, so we cannot really do a lot of these mitzvot of the Torah. But the Gemara is going to give us now a formula that how you can observe these mitzvot. For example, I spoke today about the mitzvah of para aduma. According to today's Gemara, this introduction that I gave to the mitzvah of the para aduma, it's equal to a certain extent, like if we went to the Bet HaMikdash and we were purified with the ceremony of the para aduma. And I read the Gemara quickly, and it says, Amar Resh Lakish, my dichtiv, in last week's Torah portion, and by Ikra as well, the Pasuk says, Zot ha-Torah la'olah la-mincha bela-hatat bela-asham bela-miluim ulzeva ha-shelamim. This is actually part of the korbanot. Remember korbanot? Okay, good? I hope it's good. Okay? Right here. Right after Anna V'Koach, after the Ketoret, what do we say? Vezot ha-Torah la'olah bela-mincha bela-hatat bela-asham bela-miluim ulzeva ha-shelamim. This is the Torah for all these offerings. And then what do we have? A whole Mishnah. Starts on the bottom. All this Mishnah talks about sacrifices in the Bet HaMikdash. Why our holy rabbis establish all this reading in our introductory step of the morning prayers known as korbanot? Short answer, because of today's Gemara. Kol ha'osek b'Torah. Two things the message the Gemara tells us. A person who occupies themselves in the concept of Torah learning, ke'ilu ikriv, is considered in front of the Almighty like you went to the Bet HaMikdash and you offer all of the korbanot. The Gemara goes even further. Kol ha'osek b'Torat hatat, ke'ilu ikriv hatat. Kol ha'osek b'Torat asham, ke'ilu ikriv asham. The Gemara says, a person that talks about these mitzvot that cannot be fulfilled, and it says, whoever learns the laws of hatat is considered like you offered the hatat. And whoever learns about the laws of Hashem, it's like Hashem and all the topics of the korbanot. And this is perhaps, we can understand something that I was planning to say tomorrow. But I'm going to say it now, okay? Because tomorrow we may have a different topic to speak about. The Pasuk says, at the end of Perashat Para, the Pasuk says, Ve'ayeta lahem lehukat olam. And this will be an eternal covenant, an eternal decree. Comes the great Rabbi Haim Palachi, in Moed Kol Chai, I believe, and asked, how could it be if I just finished saying that the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, till destruction of the temple, we no longer have the para aduma. What happened in the past 1951 years since the destruction of the temple? That we do not have a para aduma. So how can be the pasuk says that this will be an eternal decree? The short answer is that when Am Israel, the Jewish people, gather in the synagogues on Shabbat Kodesh to read and to listen Perashat Para, at that moment there is an aura of purity that is injected in the neshama of the person for reading Perashat Hukat. He adds one more thing, and I'm sure that many people do it. Go into the mikveh on Erev Shabbat, and it says tomorrow when you go to the mikveh, have in mind that your dipping in the mikveh is pure like the para aduma ceremony. You follow me? And that's how we understand why the Torah says Hukat Olam. Now, I can add one more component. The beginning of Perashat Hukat says Zot Hukat HaTorah Beikhu Elecha Para Aduma Temima. If it's me writing the Humash, I will say Zot Hukat HaPara Aduma. Why the pasuk says Zot Hukat HaTorah? What Para Aduma has that it seems to be the foundation of the entire Torah? Do you understand what I'm saying? How Para Aduma can be the foundation of the entire Torah? But this is what the pasuk says: Zot Hukat HaTorah. Sometimes, we read the Perashah, but we don't pay attention to the words. I repeat the question one more time. The pasuk says, this is the decree of the Torah. Take for yourself a red heifer that is perfect, no blemish, and no yoke came upon her body. Yoke, all. So the question was, why the Torah adds the word HaTorah? When it comes to, for example, Shabbat, the pasuk doesn't say Zot Hukat HaTorah Shemor Shabbat. But in Para Aduma, it says Zot Hukat HaTorah. So I will give you a very short and practical answer. The Torah is teaching us the importance of believing in the Torah, which I believe everybody does, at least those who are here. Learn Torah, listen to Torah classes, go to Torah classes. I cannot vouch for the entire world, but we know that one of the basic components of Judaism is emunah. Emunah in Hashem, emunah in the Torah, etc. So what happens now? It comes to a mitzvah that in our mind does not make sense. As I said before, we can understand kashrut, Shabbat, Sha'atnes, mikveh for nidah, talet, tefillin, mezuzah, all that we understand. And there are books, by the way, that gives you the reasons of every mitzvah from the Torah. And the one that we don't have one reason, an official reason, I can give you one example. For example, Rashi says, Para, the cow, is the mother of the egel. Remember the egel? The sin of the golden calf? So what Rashi says? Let the mother come and clean up the mess of the child. So the Para Aduma, in a way, can be considered like a spiritual tikkun of the egel. That's a beautiful pirush, but still doesn't answer my question, which is the question of many of the mefarshim. Why the pasuk says, Zot Hukat Torah? So perhaps the Torah is teaching us a very fundamental concept in Avodat Hashem. Many times, a person determines their level of observance based on their intellectual understanding of if the mitzvah makes sense or the mitzvah does not make sense. And although the Torah encourages the intellectual aspect of the mind, but there is one thing that we need to understand, that the moment that we determine our mitzvot observance based on our understanding, that is already a challenging way of living. Why? Imagine yourself, you go to a doctor, and the doctor gives you a prescription. Okay? Nowadays, people do a lot of research, right? And people read, and people read, and people read so much information that you come out dizzy. And you don't know, is it true? It's manipulated. Is somebody who wants to, promote a certain item or a certain technique, etc. So many times the doctor will tell you, don't read and don't believe everything that you see online. Beautiful, etc. But let's make believe that the internet didn't exist. Hacham Google doesn't exist. And you have no way of doing more research. The normal way of life was, you go to the doctor gives you a prescription, and what do? You go to the pharmacy. And the pharmacy provides a prescription, and we take it religiously. And what the doctor says, take one pill every 6 hours. Don't take 3 pills every 6 hours, but one pill every 6 hours. Why? For many reasons. Reason number one, Haz v'shalom, overdose. So imagine yourself, this reminds me of a story of someone who had dyslexia. And the person read the label wrong. The person read 10 take pills a day instead of one pill every 10 hours. Haz v'shalom, sakana, thank God the life of the person was saved. But we follow it religiously. I'll talk one more. Certain pills that ladies take for some reasons, personal reasons, the doctors will tell you, you must take it every day, right? At the same time. And you only have a window of 15 minutes. Not every medicine has the same rule. But there's certain type of medicine, especially for ladies, that they tell you, for the medicine to work properly, always take it around the same time. Or they tell you, don't take it on an empty stomach. Or take it before you eat with a large cup of water. Why they tell you all these things? For the well-being of the human body. What happens if you will go to the doctor and then you challenge your doctor and you tell, doctor, why are you giving me this medicine? So we need to understand that if you're going to need to wait till the doctor is going to answer you this question, the doctor went to school. He needs to explain to you how the body works and what's going on in your body and how this medicine is going to be exactly for the condition that the person may have. Guess what? How long do you think it will take the doctor to explain that to you? 1 minute? For sure not. It took him 12 years or 15 years plus continuous education of becoming the doctor. So what do? We say thank you. We go to the pharmacy. We show the insurance card. Never leave home without it, as the statement says. And we take it religiously. We don't really ask questions. And I use this mashal to explain why the Torah says, Zot Hukata Torah. The mitzvah of para aduma, it creates an eye-opening that no other mitzvah of the Torah brings upon the person. I ask you a question. You pick up a prescription. Usually prescriptions come with a pamphlet attached to it. Counterindications, possible side effects, the explanation of the medicine, the explanation of the condition, and how they give you a mini shi'ur. And I ask you a question. Is it guaranteed that all these side effects can happen in a person? Most likely not. And if, God forbid, something may happen, it's mi'uta sheve mi'uta. Meaning to say, a very, very remote possibility that it could happen. They tell you don't mix medicines and alcohol. Or sometimes they tell you don't mix medicines. You know, because sometimes the potency of one prescription can override the other that you take. And they tell you also, if you're taking, I don't know, they even know the name, MOI, etc., different types of anticoagulants, blood thinners, what they tell you? No, you need to stop taking these in order to have this procedure, in order for the anesthesia to work. So we understand that there is a mega relationship between taking medicines and the human body. We're not promoting any medicine. We're not promoting any company, because that's not the purpose of today's class. But look at the Torah has the perfect medicine that has zero side effects. Only good comes when a person learns Torah and the person does mitzvot and does ma'asim tovim. With one exception that we don't understand. Today's mitzvah of para aduma. How could it be that on one hand purifies thousands of Jews, but on the other hand, that fellow who prepared the mixture becomes impure? And as I said before, even Shlomo HaMelech was unable to understand the reason. But guess what? We still do it. So the Gemara, the Torah is teaching us, Zot Hukat HaTorah. You want to understand your connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? We follow the mitzvah of the para aduma. And I repeat one more time what I said before. There is nothing wrong for a person to ask questions. And there is nothing wrong for a person, I apologize for that. Sorry. At this moment, I will have to put the questions on hold. Bear with me a second, please. I'm sorry. Technical difficulties. Anyways, you can ask questions at the proper time. At the proper time. What does it mean at the proper time? I'm serious, but I'm not serious. I'm okay. At the proper time means even to ask questions, the halakha gives us guidelines. When to ask and to ask about what. Rule number 1, in a class, for example, you are allowed to ask questions relevant to the topic that we are learning. Beautiful. That's number 1. Rule number 2, and this is my man-made rule, okay? When we record the classes, we avoid usually questions until I'm able to pause, listen to the question, paraphrase the question, and answer. Because sometimes, you know, you hear half of the question, and I want to make sure that I do the proper service to the one who asks and to the listening audience, physically and virtually as well. And that's why, you know, even in the schools today, they are encouraging the students to ask questions. I'm talking about Jewish schools. Why? Because many times people would love to do more. But people sometimes have this idea, it doesn't make sense to me, therefore I don't do it. But everything makes sense if we expose ourselves to the concept of Torah. And that's why the Gemara mentioned before. If you learn Torah, you don't need to bring korbanot in the Bet HaMikdash. It doesn't mean that if Mashiach comes, we're not going to give korbanot. But the Gemara is trying to tell us is that when you learn Torah, this is your ultimate sacrifice. Because you could have been doing anything that you wanted, and you said, now I'm going to connect myself with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, you had a question? You had a question? I'm going to pause the recording for a second. Go ahead.
You just mentioned about the Torah is the only thing that there is no side effect. I'm not
No, that has side effect. The Parah Adumah has a side effect.
learning Torah.
Oh, learning Torah is all beneficial.
I'm not putting it as a side effect, but sometimes in a couple, one of the spouse goes too fast in learning Torah. It can have some effects to the other person.
Of course. Of course. Okay. I hear you. I hear you. That's a comment. Okay. I hear that. No, I wanted to clarify this. I hear you loud and clear. And for sure, I'm going to paraphrase it publicly so the audience can listen. Because, Rabbi, what did you say? I know the video, those who are watching, right, are listening. But those that are listening virtually, they want to know what's going on. So I'm going to resume the recording again. So our dear friend's comment was a very good comment, that when it comes to couples which are in the pathway of Teshuvah, they need to be in a balanced form. It needs to be with guidance. And I will even say under rabbinical supervision. Why? Because if one of them flies too fast and the other one stays behind, you're going to start having some challenges in your relationship. Of course, everything, Maimonides says, everything needs to be the middle of the road. The middle of the road. One step at a time. But Olam created the world in a week. What does it mean? Every day, an extra growth, an extra way of improving our spiritual life as well. I like to talk about the Zohar of today, but I'm going to give you one message. There are a few messages globally related to the importance of eating kasher, which we devote, I believe, half of yesterday's class to this topic related to Perashat Shemini. But I'm going to give you a pasuk that the Zohar brings, and it says from Shlomo HaMelech. I'm going to read it in Hebrew and translate. Kol amal ha'adam lefihu. Translation. The toiling of a person in this world is all related to the mouth of the person. What is King Solomon telling us when he says this verse? The toiling of the person's life is their mouth. Toiling means working very hard. Amal, ata omel. Why? What happened to the rest of the body? Why do we say that the whole thing in your life is your mouth? So you know what the Zohar says? How many friends and how many enemies can the mouth of the person have? How many? Too many. What a person eats and how the person speaks. Those are the two mega friends or enemies of the person. And that's what King Solomon is saying. Not only be careful what goes into your mouth, but be careful whatever comes out of the mouth of the person. And it says amal. What's the meaning of amal? Toiling doesn't mean work on it. Toiling means roll up your sleeves and put the effort. Guess what? I'm going to throw in two more freebies. praying is done through the mouth. Talking, tefillah, Torah learning is done through the mouth. Eating kasher is done through the mouth. Why? Because this is the opening to the body and to the neshama, internally and externally. And therefore the Zohar says, a Jew must aim for holiness, for godliness. And as the Pasuk says, that in this week's Haftarah from Perashat Hukat comes from the book of Yehezkel HaNavi. This was the topic that we discussed Monday morning for the ladies class. That class is on Haftarah. And the Pasuk says, Bezarakti alechem maim tehorim uthartem. I will sprinkle upon you pure waters, and you will be purified. Belakahti edchem min goim. I will gather you from the foreign nations, mikol ha'arasot, from all of the world. Be'eveti edchem el almatchem. And I'm going to bring you back to Eretz Israel. Benatati lachem lev hadash. I will place upon you a new heart. Veruah hadasha. And a new spirit. Etem bekirvechem. Ba'asiroti et lev ha'evem besarechem. Benatati lachem lev basar. It says, I will do a heart transplant. God says through Yehezkel HaNavi. I will remove the stone. I'm going to remove the heart that is hard, like a rock, and I will put a heart of flesh. And the Pasuk says, Be'et ruhi eten bekirvechem. And I'm going to inject into my spirit. What is Yehezkel HaNavi talking about? Short answer, the positive changes upon Mashiach Safra. Who is the biggest enemy today of the Jewish people? There is a debate of who is the biggest enemy. And you may say, terrorism. Agree. Anti-Semitism. I agree. But there is a third enemy. No, assimilation. Thank you. That's okay. But who is in the driver's seat of our problems in life? The Yetzer Hara. And that's exactly what the Zohar quotes today from the Haftarah. Amar leh, bezarakti alechem maim tehorim uthartem. Israel, and it says the Zohar Kadosh, when a Jew makes the effort of bonding with a Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ikrun Kodesh, the Jewish people are called a holy nation. As the Pasuk writes, Be'anshe Kodesh tiyun li, a Jew must aim for sanctity. Ubo tidbak, and a Jew must bond with a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why in our daily prayers, in Hallelujah, you're going to be very familiar with this Pasuk because you say it every day of your life. Magid devarav leYaakov, hukav u'mishpatav leYisrael, lo asachen lechol goy u'mishpatim bal yeda'um. Hallelujah. David HaMelech says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how lucky are we, how fortunate are we that the Torah and the commandments were given to the Jewish people. Now, what about Gentiles? What about the rest of the world? So I'll finish the class today with the following statement. Every human being, including Goim, have the opportunity to bond with God and to become a righteous Gentile. And the reason I'm going to talk about this topic for a few moments is because we believe that today with technology, who will listen to the shi'ur? Yehudim, Goim, etc. So we dedicate these last few moments for the Gentile nations of the world. Because at the end of the day, the more people act in a proper way, we are making the world a better place to be. Now, the improvement of the world is not based on technology or in social media or what's established by the influencers of the social media world, but I'm talking about the behavior of the person. So we know that every citizen of the world has 7 commandments to fulfill. These are called Shiva Mitzvot Bnei Noah. The 7 Noahide laws, the 7 universal laws which are essential for the proper functioning of society. I'm going to say the 7 of them, irrelevant of the order, but these are the 7 ones. Number 1, believing in God. Believing in Hashem, the creator of the world. Number 2, staying away from idolatry. Number 3, not to commit murder. Number 4, not to steal. Number 5, not to commit adultery. Number 6, no cruelty to the animals, meaning to say a person is not allowed to eat ever minahai. Ever minahai in English means a limb from a living animal. Let's say you want to have beef shank. You say, okay, I need a shank. You go to the animal, God forbid, you cut the shank and you eat it. That's forbidden, not only because blood or because of shehita, slaughter law of Judaism. That is forbidden because that demonstrates a tremendous amount of cruelty and pain and suffering caused to the animal. And this is an obligation for mankind, not only for the Jewish people. And number 7, the establishment of a judicial court system in every city of the world. Why? Because once there is the law of the land, something called in Talmudic statement, Dina de Malchuta, Dina, the law of the land, that helps people to live in a more civilized fashion. It's like you are driving on the highway and suddenly you see a state trooper behind you. What do right away? Slow down, make sure your seatbelt is on, make sure not to talk and drive. Suddenly you became a Sadiq, a perfect driver. How come? Because you have the officer behind you. And it says that when a person, the Mishnah writes in Pirkei Avot, Heve mitpallel bishloma shel malchut. A person must always pray for the welfare of the government. It doesn't matter where you live. You can live in Mexico, in the United States, in Israel, in Argentina, whatever part of the world you are. Even though that perhaps some of us are not happy in the way some governments are running and treating their citizens, etc., but that's a whole different topic. But it says the Mishnah, if people will not be afraid of the law, people will kill each other. Ilmalem ish et re'eu haim bela'o. If a person will not have the fear, oh, I don't want to get caught, I don't want to go to jail, God forbid, people will act in ways that, God forbid, we may go to the times of Gog Umagog, or we go to the times of Sedom Ba'amorah, which at the end of the day, Sedom Ba'amorah and the Mabul, these 2 biblical catastrophes, in the time of Noah, the flood, the Mabul, and in the time of Abraham, Sedom Ba'amorah, what prompted these calamities that affected the world? Short answer, immorality and crime. That's it. Those two concepts are fundamental for the sanity of the world. But guess what? We live in a society that everything goes and everything is permitted. And don't worry, do as you want, do as you will. And that's why we mention that even though the mitzvot at times may be difficult to understand, but there are reasons for the mitzvot, and there are benefits for the mitzvot. It doesn't matter if a person is Jewish or not, and even if somebody is a Gentile, okay? The observance of these 7 biblical commandments, it brings holiness and godliness to the life of the person. I'd like to finish today's class with a personal story that I was the participant of this story. I may have shared it with someone many years back, but I'm going to say it again. This story happened in Miami Beach 15, 18 years ago. I was in the shul's office. Somebody knocks on the door. The assistant goes out to see, and he says, Rabbi, there is a lady from Israel that wants to talk to you. I said, okay. I go out. I start talking in Hebrew. She says, Rabbi, I don't understand Hebrew. So I said, oh, I thought you were from Israel. And she asked me, why you say that? Because you dress in a very religious way. Proper length, proper things. She says, no, I'm a Gentile from Texas. I'm a Gentile from Texas. Texas, one of the names of Texas is also the Bible Belt. Okay? And I said, okay, what can I help you with? And she talked like somebody from Texas, with the accent, with the tune. And she tells me that in her home, in a certain town, Galveston, Texas, I believe, she has a biblical class every Saturday morning. Okay? They are Sabbath observant. They don't drive. They don't cook. And she gives a Torah class every Shabbat morning in her home with 20, 30 Christian friends who live the same style. And she came across a pasuk that she couldn't understand. She uses the art scroll Chumash, like the one we use here. She says, I found this Chumash. She told me hummus. Said, okay, hummus, Chumash, okay? And she had a question. And I explained Rashi and the commentaries, and she was very thankful. And I asked her, why? She tells me, Rabbi, in our home, we don't mix meat and dairy. I travel to a different town to buy Empire kosher chickens in those days. And my husband and I keep a separation during the month, the time of the month of my cycle. And then I go to the ocean. And then we are able to fulfill the mitzvah together. She didn't say mitzvah, the commandment, etc. And that's how we live. I said, okay, continue living that way. But I'm going to say to her, the opposite. Somebody comes, you just encourage them to do the mitzvot of Bnei Noach. No need to take upon themselves, additional things, etc. And she was very thankful and very respectful. And interesting, there are goyim out there that have some type of affinity and understanding that the Torah is emet. But not to worry. We have a guarantee that when Mashiach comes, the entire world will be in this way. The Pasuk writes in Yeshayah HaNavi, Umaleah ha'aretz de'ayet Hashem, kamayim layam mechasim. The world will be filled of God's knowledge like the water covers the ocean. People, I believe, like to believe in something. Many people are believing in things which are detrimental toward godly relationship. So Be'ezat Hashem, the zechut of the reading of the Paraduma and the zechut of talking of the Paraduma will give us Be'ezat Hashem very, very soon the zechut, the merit of seeing the Paraduma with the building of the third and final Bet HaMikdash. Amen. Baruch Adonai Le'olam.